ever think it's everyone else and everything else's fault as to why it's so damn hard for me to save for retirement? Well, if so, you might need to check yourself a little bit.
This is Queer Money episode number 554, and today we're sharing part 2 of our two-parter of just a few reasons why it's so damn hard to save for retirement. Let's get on with the show.
The mission of Queer Money is to financially empower the LGBTQ plus community. Join us in thanking Capital One for supporting that mission. So welcome back, folks. If you were with us last week, you know that last week we didn't blame it all on you. We blamed it on the system. And last week we talked about some of the systemic reasons as to why it is so hard to save for retirement, especially at this time in history. But at the same time, we don't want to make it everyone else's responsibility or everyone else's fault. We want to talk a little bit about some of the reasons why folks in our community, us included, delayed or haven't saved for retirement. Probably one of the biggest ones is that our community, especially when it comes to gay men, we live in what John and I like to refer to as a carpe diem mentality or society, in part because that was what trained our community to live that way back during the HIV and AIDS crisis. Many of us in the community were living for today because literally we didn't know if we were going to die next week, next month, next year. And that made a lot of people say, I'm just going to spend all of the money that I have. And we even know stories of individuals who maxed out credit cards, who took all the money out of their 401ks, got rid of their life insurance policies, cashed out their life insurance policies, and really lived it up. However, not all those people did end up passing away. And many of the people who followed in their model are still living, and many of them are not living with HIV or AIDS.
Exactly. Another reason is something that we all struggle with, and you've heard about us talk about this before on the podcast, is hyperbolic discounting. Is that retirement feels like it's a distant relative until it's knocking on your door like an overly enthusiastic neighbor. Like it's just so far away. It's hard to really imagine that it's reality, but it actually is a reality. And we know that like 80 to 100 years seems like it's forever when you're 20 years old. But when you're your 50s, approaching your 60s, approaching your 70s, you realize it's not actually that long of a period of time. We're just a blip on a dot on a gigantic timeline. So we kind of just discount how far away our retirement is when it's actually a lot closer than we think.
Yeah. The third reason is that many of us get kind of this deer in the headlights feeling when it comes to this whole idea of saving or understanding what we need to do to save for retirement. It's not something that our community talks about. We don't talk about money. We don't talk about the things we can do to build wealth so that we have a comfortable and safe retirement. And many of us kind of have this, yeah, whatever, it'll all work out mentality. And we don't really think that it's not hurting us right now, so I guess I don't have to worry about it. And that, unfortunately, is something that can prevent many of us from making even little tiny decisions that can really help us big time in the future.
And that's one of the things that we hope to change with our new Yahoo Finance show, Living Not So Fabulously, available on Wednesdays at noon Eastern Time.
Capital One Auto Navigator does more than just auto financing. We're here to help you find a car you love, too. Shop millions of cars from thousands of dealers nationwide. Research your favorite makes and models. Explore dealers near you and more. All on Auto Navigator.
Now, the fourth reason here is that we underestimate how long it's going to take to truly save for retirement. There was a study done by a Journal of Accountancy that found that 54% of respondents underestimated exactly how much money they would need to have to be able to live a comfortable retirement, cover all their healthcare costs and all the other needs that they have in life. And so not only do we wait forever to save for retirement because it feels like it's so far away, but then we underestimate exactly how much we're going to need in retirement and how hard it's going to be to actually save up that much money, to invest that much money to have that retirement.
Yeah, I remember seeing a statistic not so long ago that said that I think it was most Gen Z and millennials think that having $500,000 saved for retirement is enough. And that's in today's dollars. I don't know what they think that will be in the future, but just the simple fact that a 1-year stay in a nursing home right now is costing about $108,000. You're going to burn through $500,000 pretty quickly. So it might be a good idea to start having these kinds of conversations. What kind of lifestyle do you want in retirement? What would it take to actually get there? But I think one of the big roadblocks that many of us have in everyday life, and this is point number 5, is that we live in a consumption society. Everyone celebrates your new shoes, your new bag, your new car, your new house, your new vacation. Everybody celebrates you spending your money because it's an outward display of you, quote unquote, living a good life. Whether you can afford it or not, it's an outward display of living a good life. But no one is celebrating the fact that your 401k balance went above 100,000 or above 250,000 or above $1 million. And those are the kinds of things that we want to encourage more folks to talk about, as well as those other things. Let's celebrate the money wins that each of us have.
Yeah, it was interesting. Like several years ago, I remember it was in the same week that a friend of ours posted that he bought this brand new high-end car. I don't know, Audi, BMW, Aston Martin, whatever. Cars don't mean anything to me. But it was a high-end expensive car. We had also shared on our Debt-Free Guys Facebook wall that we had crossed $1 million in net worth. And while everybody was celebrating our friend who bought the high-end expensive car, we were told on our feed that it's rude to talk about how much money we have.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, all right, so we can have this several $100,000 car, and that's not rude to be able to brag about that. But if you brag about how much money you have in your 401k, shame on you. Yeah, something a little bit mixed up there.
Yeah. So next week, we're going to start to share some practical steps. I think that's what all of you are looking for, right? Some practical steps about how you can move closer and closer to financial security, especially in retirement.
So meanwhile, though, as we keep saying, we want to make sure that this is a dialogue among all of us, not just David and me presenting to you. We really want to know where you're at in your retirement planning, what's holding you back from your financial security. How can we help you specifically? So as we've been asking, please respond to these questions, whether you want to email us at info@queermoneypodcast.com. You want to direct message us on whatever platform you happen to be watching or listening to this episode, or whatever social media platform you follow us on. However you want to reach out to us. For this week, we want you to answer the question, what personal reasons, things that you actually have control over in your everyday life, are keeping you from saving for retirement? We're going to use that information to help create future episodes. And then at some point or another, we'll share some of the information that you've been sharing with us. Of course, we'll make sure that we don't expose who's saying what. But we just want to kind of make sure this is more of a dialogue than is a presentation. So go ahead and respond to that question on whatever platform, whatever means possible. And we'll be sure to visit that in the future. With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One, N.A., member FDIC.
Well, thank you again for joining us for the second part of our 2-part series. If you missed the first part, make sure you go back and watch that one, and come back next week when we start to share those specific tips that will help you retire fabulously.
Bye.
Bye.